right-hand side yet again. Yes, he's trying to pressure out the solo lane. We saw him doing it in game 1 and a little bit in game 2. His goal is to kind of just pressure out Snowflake. Terra!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Brian Codex out here soloing Alfredo, the support, taking down the ADC. That's gotta be a clip that we throw somewhere, man. That was absolutely bonkers. Alfredo not feel the global ult, but she's here despite that. And we might see Apollo able to come as well. The final basic as Kairos tries to finish it off with the dash, but Fuzzy Clay did this, but regardless, it will be a Primal Fury going the way of Fuzzy and the Wuzzies, and now over 10,000 gold up before 20 minutes into the game, and it wants to be even more. Orden trying to chase out Kairos. It will be some peel, but
Fuzzy
joining in on the ultimate, gonna force out the ultimate from Kairos as well, and he might just get away, but it forces to dash into a rough spot. Raijin dashes as well, trying to get damage from the Taiko Drum to get taken out before he can get more than one shot off, but Alfredo finding himself a double kill, looking for the triple. Fafnir low, triple kill coming out from Alfredo. He's going to look for the Quadra, getting low here, trying to find it onto the Artemis, but Double Mumble doing a great job of zoning him out and gets the dash to finish off the kill. Soul still alive, wants to put more damage into this Sobek, and he might be able to finish it off, and he does. 4 members fall from Going Ghost, only 3 members on the side of Fuzzy and the Wuzzies, and I gotta say,
That's all of their ults? Yeah.
Oh.
Huge! Oh my god!
Huge.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
bro.
go! My goodness.
That room. Do you knock up?
I have it in 1.
Nah. Damn. If we were all right, we could do gold. But I just killed Matt too.
Kill the Bacchus.
Bacchus, easier kill.
Coming over. Nice job.
He jumped.
Yeah,
Nope.
he jumped around me.
Yeah, we don't have anyone else coming. He's gone.
I'm just
We can
backing
leave and
real
go.
quick.
Good shit.
Oh, just supports carrying games.
All right, welcome everybody to the Albion Giants League Dinosaur, joined by Narwalaby here on the desk for you. We have the Barbarians division, free range chickens facing up against Asgard Okami. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, junglers were really struggling there. I think, Captain Twig went like 40-0 in one game just before they buffed it. So really glad to see them get the buff they need. Maybe supports can finally get some farm. Probably not. They're just kidding. Anyways. Yeah, I would be surprised to see Geb jungle outside of like a casual game, just because his clear is just really, really rough even still. Um I mean, Geb solo I think Geb solo could be a possibility. I think at this level I would encourage players to sway away from it just because it's higher execution. You have to really be able to utilize his role properly to clear wave and hit the enemy, and that's not always the easiest thing to do, as it doesn't exactly turn on a dime, right? So I would love to see it though, and I think that the one counterpoint to that is too is you don't have to execute as highly at this level because your opponents aren't going to punish you as harshly. So I mean, hey, we might see the Geb solo. I'm excited for my full damage Geb support builds to just absolutely be popping off at this point with Hidden Mannequins Blade. Yeah, it's the thing that I think should totally be happening in every game. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so I think that gold is a bit of a mixed bag, but it's always a little fun to watch, right? You have Yeah, comfort is king. And I think that a lot of what defines the meta, right, is it's based on an assumption that you can execute that god or that character to their highest level that is possible. Like you're not missing too many auto attacks, you're not, you're able to hit the abilities and things like that. And equally your opponents are doing the same thing, presumably. And yeah, so I think we're gonna head over to picks and bans here. See what is actually picked and banned instead of sitting here and speculating.
Might as well get on into it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mentioned I'm still expecting to see Morgan Le Fay's, Persephone's, and probably the Tiamat, the three kind of premier mid laners. At least on the previous patch, I was expecting them to still be banned out on this patch here as well.
Yeah, and there we go, Morgan. The first to go. Morgan, I mean, very, very powerful character, right? And I think that part of the reason we've maybe seen even gods like Sir Cat make a comeback is due in part to this Morgan. She did receive some nerfs to her ultimate in the way that works. I think her healing is not as strong on that. So I don't think I've seen much of a difference in her performance yet, but it is still early in the patch. So I've also seen her almost exclusively banned from every game, so it's really hard to see where she stands in the comp scene.
Yeah, the sample size of her actually in game has not been the largest because she's just constantly getting banned. But a ban there we don't normally see is Set. I haven't seen a Set ban in months. He really fell out of favor in the jungle, with a lot of with jungle just basically feeling bad. He was kind of reigning supreme as the king there at the end of season 7, or which season are we on? Season 6? Whichever season was the last season. I'm losing track.
This is season 6 of Albion, season 8 of Smite.
Yeah, so season 7 of Smite, Set was kind of reigning supreme coming through the jungle there, and then start of season 8 he kind of was there for a little bit and then kind of just fell off with a lot of the jungle bans or jungle nerfs and then nerfs to himself in general. So kind of surprising to see a ban coming out from him. I'm wondering if that's a targeted ban going towards free range chickens.
Yeah, it could absolutely be a targeted ban. Again, it could just be a gold, thing where it's a comfort, like they don't want to deal with it. They particularly struggle against a pick. Something like that could also be on the table. And I think the part of Set, why Set we've seen Set kind of drop off too, is the rise of these, specific like anti-healing picks, right? Sir Cat we talked about, right. Sobek, Cerberus, them being in meta makes life as Set a little bit more difficult, especially when you're not, bopping as hard as he did in season 7. Right. And one character that has actually changed, but is still very, very good is Persephone, and we see her locked in here. I'm curious, Narwhal. What are your thoughts on Persephone, her rework, how she's kind of fitting in currently?
Uh, she kind of does a lot of damage. Her passive is useless.
Mm-hmm.
Her team fight control isn't nearly as strong as what it used to be with her ultimate. Um, and then the poke on her one is kind of reduced because it's more just single target poke. The single line ability for that has been reduced greatly, and I think Geb is a really good pickup here by free range chickens. You know, if you get the person that's kind of just stuck in the middle of that Persephone ult, Geb's got a cleanse, and you can just cleanse that person, and then you're no longer really stuck inside of Persephone ult, so you can just kind of start walking out or else auto it down. And along with that, Izanami is also really good because if Geb shield happens to be down, you know, Izanami gets double procs to try to auto away the core of Persephone's ult there.
Yeah, so she can get out just a little bit quicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think Persephone's interesting. I think Persephone has become less dangerous and just more obnoxious in a way. I feel like her
That's a good
zoning
way to put it.
potential is pretty strong. You know, she kind of forces you to play a way that you don't want to play. You know, almost like facing against a Loki, right? It's just like,
But another hunter there that's kind of been coming up is Hu Yi as of late. I know Barra and Venenu on the Olympus Bolts have been talking about Hu Yi being one of the stronger ADCs now with a lot of the changes, because you know a lot of these jungle nerfs, we call them jungle nerfs because they are typically built in the jungle, but you know the Jotun's Wrath, the Transcendence getting buffed again for some reason. You know all these ADCs. You know, ADCs ruin everything, and so they're going to take all those buffs that the junglers had, and then the ADCs are going to ruin them to the point where they're going to get nerfed again, and then jungle's going to feel bad again, and then we can just blame ADCs because it's always the ADC's fault, right?
yeah, it's always the ADC's fault. Remember that ADCs know your place, or we'll come after you. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of playing Hou Yi, and I think he just, you know, he feels. I would say he feels better, right, with a Transcendence build. I think that Dev crit on him feels pretty good too, but just like hitting that triple bounce with like Transcendence and Crusher and like the ability based builds, I mean, that really, really feels nice.
Yeah, a lot of the things too with Hu Yi is just that people kind of sleep on is he's got great zone control too with that ultimate. I mean, you drop it down and that's just a no-fly zone for anybody on the enemy team through that area. So they got a lot of pretty good zone control ults coming out from Asgard Okami. You know, Persephone ult, Hu Yi ult, Ganesh ult, all three of those ultimates are like, hey, you can't walk here or else we're going to try to kill you on them.
Yeah. I like I said, I enjoy Hou Yi. I remember he used to be able to bounce his ricochet off of an Odin cage, and oh boy, those are good days. Those were good times. Odin's still on the table, so they could opt to pick that, and then you can trap them in the Odin cage and drop the suns on him. But I imagine at the point the other team's looking at picking up a Phantom Veil. At least I would hope so. I do want to talk about this Osiris pickup. Osiris, obviously, he's weird because he seems like he's either really, really good or really, really bad. And I'm not sure where exactly he fits within this meta, but I feel like he could be good, although, you know, when I'm thinking about Osiris, I think of his ultimate and the anti-healing that brings, and I'm not seeing too much concern in the way of healing on the side of Asgard Okami. So I don't know what they're thinking with this Osiris. Is it jungle? Is it solo? What are your thoughts?
In my opinion, this Osiris is only going jungle. I haven't really seen much Osiris solo play. You kind of see it, but he doesn't really bring to the table what you look for out of a solo laner as of right now. The big thing with Osiris is it's just walk down potential. Like, he's just going to walk you down. He's going to chase you to the ends of the earth, autoing you with his Mannequin Scepter, Ickful, all those Stone Cutting Sword. He's not going to take any damage because he's a tanky warrior. He's going to ult you to get a bunch of extra mitigations from physical and magical, and then he's going to root you in place, and then he's going to stun you, and then slow you, and then slow you, and then slow you, and then slow you, and then probably kill you at that point. So he's just really oppressive to deal with if he can get on a backline. So I think that's where he's probably going to be going. But we see a Baron Samity hover. Another pick that is probably troll, probably something that we're not going to end up seeing get locked in here, though.
I've honestly I played a little Baron. He feels good for no particular reason besides he's just fun to play. And this is a gold game. The question is, I mean, is that a Baron mid? Is it a Baron solo? I mean, he's got a little bit of flex potential, but he's so weird. Like, he just doesn't fit in anywhere in Conquest right now. It's so hard to be like, this is a good role for him, you know?
Yeah, I'm a huge Baron fan. I love the god. I think he's great. He's not the greatest in actual games, but I feel like right now he needs to probably go mid. I think you have enough CC control out of the rest of your picks that he's probably going to be a little bit safer in the mid lane, and his damage when you build him full damage is still quite a bit. The bonus healing he's going to have on his team, he's got mitigations when he pops up into his ultimate. He's going to be able to just pull people in, wrap them up, and then hopefully let his team blow him up off of that.
Now, does this Camazotz in any way change your opinion about where this Baron should go?
No, I feel like he's still going to be safer coming out of the mid lane. If you put him over in solo, he's probably just going to get camped by the Camazotz Kukulkan. Both of those gods are really good at, walking down a Baron because they can jump out of his route and then they're not rooted anymore. And then you just really feel bad as a Baron, even though you're just sitting over there with your Vamp Shroud trying to have fun in lane, and then you're just not. So I think he's probably going to have a little bit more safety coming out of the mid lane. He's going to be able to play a little bit safer against the Persephone. He can play back a little bit further if needed.
I almost feel like I would rather see, I was going to say, I always rather see this Baron maybe in a support role. I think that might be better because his matchup against Cullen is is rough. I think that he has no escape to get away from the Camazotz. So if you build him a little bit more tanky, he has a little bit more survivability. I think that support Baron might be the way to go. Not that you have a Geb, who's probably the better support, right? You have an Achilles who can play support, certainly. So I think they got a little bit of flex. I think the one thing that I will write off the table is based on this team, there's probably no shot that that's a Geb jungle.
Yeah, probably no shot. I mean, there's still a chance. We can hold out hope that maybe one of these days here we'll get a chance to see the wonderful Geb jungle. But it looks like it might not be today. I think a lot of these picks are going to go, kind of where we expect them. Achilles probably going solo, Osiris jungle, Baron mid, Geb support, Izanami ADC, and then the Asgard Okami. They pretty much have a pretty straightforward draft. A lot of their picks are, telegraphed as to where they're going. There's not a lot of flex over there for them, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're picking gods that are good in their roles. You might as well pick them for that role. But
yeah, I think looking at this team comp, without another mage, I don't think that there's any chance that Baron isn't going mid lane, but we will find out soon enough as we toss it over to the boys on the cast. Take it away, Voiceless One and Argent Surge.
Thank you very much, Dino, Sir, and Narwhal. This is the AGL. We are back with another matchup. As noted on the desk, this is a gold match between Asgard Okami and Free Range Chickens, and I'm excited to be here, excited to cast this one. How you doing out there, Argent?
I'm doing all right. There was some talk on the desk about some of the changes within the jungle meta, potentially with the buffs that some picks were getting. I think Camazotz was one of those picks that definitely got that increase with all the maces being buffed. So seeing him getting played, he was getting played beforehand, closer to after the bonus balance patch, right before this big patch that just came out. He started seeing some more play, but I was hoping for something a little bit not unknown, but something that wasn't seen as much in jungle over the Camazotz and Osiris. But both those gods are still good, and this should be a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it all ends up working out. Excited to see my girl Izanami. She's been getting a lot more play lately. Everybody was high on Artemis for a little while, and I was over here like, Izanami has an attack speed stim too. You should take a look at that. Everybody's finally catching on, so nice to see her get some play. I think just very interesting team comps coming out here. Not the craziest things we've ever seen outside of the Baron, I suppose. I'm just excited to see where we end up going. You know, gold games, best games.
Yeah, and I see how the gold players really like to play the arenas. There's already action in the duo side here.
Not gonna quit anything just yet. First time I've seen a Geb really attempt a big gank, but he's gonna try it anyway. Not gonna quite get anything in the duo lane over there. Things still just shaping up as normal. Anything stick out to you as weird or interesting in the builds here?
Well, the Mannequin Scepter Geb kind of sticks out to me a little bit here, as you know, most support players is all right. There's a 1v1 happening in the jungle. Camazot's coming up against the Osiris. That's kind of the danger though with the Camazots. The Camazots has that sustain. And I think that's what really gave him the edge. Is that Osiris, he doesn't have his ult, so he has no anti-heal yet. Sure, he has the mannequins ticking him down, but the pure ability damage and the slight protections that Camazots gets, and just the innate tankiness that he gets, really gave him that win there. Choosing to go with the 1 and the 2 there, giving him that bonus physical power, probably giving him a bit at the edge in the 1v1.
Yeah, that was incredibly close. I had no idea who was going to come out with them, but I think you're right. The lifesteal coming in clutch for the Camazots there. And he will walk away with the first blood bounty. Just a little bit of extra gold in his pocket. Over in the solo lane, a little bit more bullying going on as the second kill comes out for Asgard Okami. Will he get away with this aggression, though? He will use the blink. Timer coming up just in time in order to get himself away to safety. So 2 kills now going over to the Order Squad.
I think it's really interesting that Achilles decided to go right into the axe immediately after Warrior's Axe immediately after getting the Fighter's Mask. Because usually, if people get Fighter's Mask, they go directly into their next defense item or their next first item, true item, and maybe get the Sundering or Hero's Axe late game once they've hit 20. But choosing to go to early, I feel like puts him at a little bit of a disadvantage into the Kokolin, who is now at the point where when he transforms, he's going to be doing massive amounts of damage, and not having the same amount of sustain you would from a defense item is going to hurt him.
Uh-oh, trying to prevent the invade here, not going to go well, as Batskid going to die on the Camazots there, and will the tick damage be enough to take out? Oh, he's going to dive underneath the tower, he'll get it, but will the tower? It will confirm the counter kill, so a little bit
minions?
and no minions! Nobody gets the blue buff. You all go back to the fountain. Sit down, boys.
Oh, that's such an unfortunate overextension. JKT deciding to go to try to get the return kill onto Kenny Alpha, try to get maybe a level up there, dies to the tower shot, and then Osiris trying. I think maybe he thought that he could clear the wave and then still get blue, or I don't know, but it just did not go well for him. Minions, man, they're dangerous. They're the most deadly thing in this game, probably cause of a good, I would say 40% of deaths in the early game in Conquest.
In the early game, it's easy to sleep on him because of how much you scale quicker than them. You know, by 5 or 6 level, depending on who you're playing, you can kind of if you're a raw, he can one ability clear an entire wave of minions. So you're kind of oh, minions, they're not anything to worry about. But they hurt up until you're about 10 or so.
Yeah, one thing I do kind of want to draw a little bit of attention to is his Med Cloak pickup by Raid Boss here on the Geb. So with the Med Cloak, the change that happened with it, it's instead of it being a single burst of healing like it used to be, it's now numerous ticks of it that heals based on your missing health with some action and so on before I get to that point.
Solo kill coming out here. Doesn't look like he'll be able to get away, and confirm that poor Kokolin gonna go down. So that is now kills evening up, only 4-3, and gold lead almost identical here, as a couple misplays have brought free range chickens right back over to even, actually ahead in a very slight way in terms of experience. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, the Med Cloak. So essentially, where it is now, instead of it being barely seen in Conquest, now it's a very strong team fighting relic. Whereas if you are losing a team fight or about halfway through a team fight, you can pop the Med Cloak. It gives all of your teammates ticks of healing that isn't just immediate and is based on their missing health. So the lower they are, the more healing they'll get from it. And it also reduces cooldowns. So if your teammates all use their abilities and then you guys want to keep engaging, you can pop the Med Cloak, get those cooldowns up even faster, and continue to put pressure on.
More slap fighting over here in the solo lane as potentially another kill going the way. Oh, the engage comes back through on the Achilles. Doesn't look like one of these two are. Wow, I can't believe they both walked away. I was sure somebody was going to die there. And
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely agree with you. In the past, Medcloak was a little bit of a. It was a meme. I'll be honest. We had our laughs, but I honestly think has turned into quite a good relic these days. And into the right circumstances, especially on a support like this, Ged can be picked up and be extremely useful. Wow, engagement coming on over in the jungle here. The Baron going to try and drag everybody back in. Ultimate thrown down to give a little bit of space, and it's actually the Osiris invading who ends up going down underneath the tower as Sir Embers makes it out with just a sliver of health. Another kill going over the way of Asgard Okami here.
Well, from what we're seeing so far, is free-range chickens, their biggest weakness as of this point has usually been themselves. Over half of their deaths as a team now have been overextensions there. Giraffe Anatomy going a little bit too deep, getting himself between the T1 and T2, and a really good Ganesh ult by Guile Smitey there to deal that damage, slow him down, and allow Camosats to get the return kill onto Osiris and punish him for overextending. This is kind of what Asgard Okami is going to have to do, as even though they've shown a lot of pressure on the solo side here, there's been numerous ganks onto Kenny Alpha, who just traded out his life to kill JKT under the T1 tower and still gets the T1 tower there, is that even while getting ganked and dying numerous times, he now has a 2-level lead where the support from the Osiris here isn't coming in enough to get him a level. So I think Osiris really needs to be starting to look elsewhere across the map to make an impact and get free-range chickens ahead.
Is there a world where you babysit this Achilles just a little bit more as the Osiris, or do you really think it's time to cut him loose and find something else? Do you think that's kind of investment loss if you try and stay there for too much longer?
Well, Kukulin's level 9 here. There's a 2-level lead now, and he has Mystical Mail. And he's getting a second physical item, a physical defense item. So if you're the Osiris who only has an Ikavol and looks like he's going into a Odibo next, you're not dealing that much damage to the Kukulin. And Achilles, I mean, it's really going to depend on if the Achilles can start hitting his executes or not, because we saw that there could have been a possible trade win for the Achilles, but his execute going slightly awry there, and Kukulin also having a jump to be able to dodge the execute. It's going to be really tough to get that fighting back in. If I'm the Osiris, I'm looking towards potentially the duo side here. This is currently even Izanami having the advantage with the lane clear that she has. Osiris has actually really good chase potential into the Hu Yi, so if I'm him, I'm going over there and trying to focus on that.
I tend to agree. Duo lane has been very quiet lately, as can sometimes be the case. They're just farming, doing their thing over there while all this action has been happening in the mid and solo lane. Speaking of action, we've got another engagement here as abilities are flying everywhere. Ult going to be dropped for Ganesh. That will not be enough to keep him alive. He's going to go down. He's going to be followed up by Sir Embers. They'll trade it back for one onto the enemy jungler in Giraffe Anatomy. Now it's just the Hu Yi. He's going to have to launch himself out to safety, and everyone will walk away at that point. But it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of free-range chicken.
Well, speaking of trades, we were saying. There's the Achilles execute coming in there. As soon as Kukulin transforms, honestly, that's... If you're Achilles, most of the time when Kukulin's transforming, people are running away from him, but that's your chance, because once that dash is down, he has no way of dodging your execute anymore. He doesn't have a jump in his enraged form, so getting that transformation off and then using your execute's really good patience, though we didn't see the entire 1v1. It might have just gone up at that point, but still, if he can keep that patience there and keep the discipline on holding his executes until Kukulin's used his movement abilities, he has a chance of fighting back into this lane.
Invade going to come here. They're going to steal the purple buff away from Hu Yi, and now he's going to drop his ult, trying to create some space for himself. Going to get knocked up by the Geb, but his teammate is here to help, going to provide a little bit of peel. Hu Yi will walk away with his life, and now the chase has begun. Ganesh going to try and get a little bit of a silence on. The jungler is chasing just a little bit further, not quite going to find what he's looking for. Oh, excuse me, that's not the jungler. That's Persephone. But yeah, but he's going to get a kill, and everybody going to walk away from that fight. For the moment, we're reaching about 10 minutes. The Gold Fury is up and available to be taken. Fire Scorpion has still not been taken down, so no Fire Giant for the time being. But should the team wish to, in mid lane, Baron going to try and drag an enemy in, and that's, an exchange of kills on either side, both going down the way of Asgard Okami. One in the I think it was the solo lane and one in the mid lane there. 2 players dropping for Asgard Okami. But yeah, if the teams so choose, if they would like to stop brawling in the middle of lanes and set up for a team fight around Gold Fury, that is something that is available at this point.
Yeah, and this Gold Fury fight is going to be pretty big for Free Range Chickens, who now has the Baron Somni now has a 2-level lead against Sir Embers on the Persephone in mid. The Jungle Chasm has widened as well. The XP that was over on Asgard Okami's side for the early game has now evened out and gone to the side of Free Range Chickens, because Free Range Chickens just frankly has more aggression coming out currently. They're constantly looking for fights, as we see right now. They're looking to kill the Ganesh by their back XP camps on left side here. Looks like he's barely going to be able to get out.
Deep in enemy territory. Well, he will have to drop the Dharmic Pillars. That'll get him out safely. But yeah, they have no fear whatsoever. They're right up inside the Phoenix, outside right of the Phoenix at just 11 minutes, and they'll chase underneath Tier 1 tower. They'll pay for it with their lives, but they'll get the kill anyway. And that's something that looks like Free Range Chickens are simply willing to do. They're willing to trade their life for a kill under a tower.
Yeah, I guess they're going by the you know, the thought process of, well, if they're dead, even if I'm dead, it doesn't matter because they can't do anything off of it. So, I mean, they're trading support for support. I feel like that was just kind of fighting to have fighting happen. Both supports end up using their relics there. We were talking about how Medcloak is a big team fight relic now, but I feel like Shell potentially has even more use right now, especially, I can't tell if it's upgraded just by looking at with the cooldown timer over it, but the Shell changes, it currently is health, but when it is activated and it's upgraded, it will give 20% reduced damage to the people on your team that have the shell on them. So that will be a really big fight relic for them, as we see Okami shoots turn away the Camazotz and tell him, no ganks for you, sir. I'm good.
We won't be having any of that in this lane today. Thanks, you. Have a nice day. Yeah, they absolutely just blow up the attempted invade from the Camazotz, and including that, they're going to chase underneath past the Tier 1 tower and get 2 additional kills. And they're going to make it a third. This Ganesh is looking very low. The chase is on. Boom! That is 4 kills exchanged for nothing in the duo lane, as Free Range Chickens get a huge win over there. They'll take the Tier 1, maybe the Tier 2 tower as well. Or they may just decide to rotate around, steal away some camps, maybe take Gold Fury for themselves while the death timers are in their favor.
Yeah, Free Range Chickens definitely has the control over this game right now. They're pushing anything that they want. They are solely the people in control of the pacing here, as any fights that have been starting recently have been on Free Range Chickens go ahead. And the one fight that was started by Asgard Okami was the attempted Camazotz gank onto Waddle XP, and that didn't exactly go well for this. We see Osiris trying to 1v3 now at the back camps, ulting up and down in there.
The disgusting thing is he's not completely losing. I mean, that was not a smart way to fight. I don't think you go in there, but he survived for longer than anyone has any right to in a 1v4 in that scenario, just because of how much of a lead he has at this point.
Yeah, he almost got the Houdi as well there. He was at like 60 HP or something getting out of that.
Free Range Chickens will pick up the Gold Fury. Attempted steal coming in here on this Ganesh, but not quite going to work out for him. And despite the very aggressive dive into the enemy team, resulting in the death of this Osiris, Free Range Chicken still ahead on every single member in terms of experience and gold. They are starting to run away with the game in its current state. So we're going to have to see something drastic change here from Asgard Okami if they're going to want to bring this back into contention. I'm not sure who's going to be the one to do it. It might be somebody in the solo lane, as they are the closest in terms of XP differential, and we have seen Kukulin get a kill or two here and there on the Achilles, so it's possible.
Yeah, Kenny Alpha is definitely going to have to make some rotations into these team fights, but the problem is that Asgard Okami hasn't been able to slow down the engage from Free Range Chickens enough to actually have these rotations come in and be grouped up for these team fights. So either they need to just play it safe until the next objective fight happens and group up around that, or they need to find a way to group up and start a fight around their terms. One thing I do want to kind of point out, as there's a fight going on in mid lane right now.
Another kill going the way of Free Range Chickens. Batskid, probably an attempted gank, I think, there. Does not go his way. He gets punished.
But speaking of the bats here, I think him going Crusher first item instead of something like Brawlers really hurts the ability to dive the Baron. As speaking of dive, this Colin's getting ran down by the Osiris and the Achilles.
3 players from the side of Free Range Chickens simply take it to him in the mid lane as he ends up going down. Ults used, exchanged everywhere, but the final result is another kill going the way of Free Range Chickens. They're going to dive underneath the tower and look for even more. You're pretty low health, but he gets the execute off of anyway. Achilles will trade his life, as we've seen so many times, but he does get another additional kill onto the Hu Yi, going to go down in mid lane there, as his compatriot in the solo lane is going to strip away the tower, and Baron is going to skid a little bit of farm and back up. He has hit 17, along with his the ADC in the Izanami has now hit 17, even higher. Wow.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty fair to say that at this point that the Free Range Chicken's biggest enemy when it comes to whoever's dealing the most damage to him, it's been towers more than Asgard Okami at this point. I think a good, I'm pretty sure at least 5, maybe 6 deaths that Asgard Okami has killed credit for have just been these towers putting in a lot of damage on the Free Range Chickens just diving too far.
And they group up and take Fire Giant while the death timers are against Asgard Okami. Not a lot of place for them to try and contest that right there. There was a little bit of a thought that maybe Batskid would go in and look for a steal, but he's far too late to get there. So early Fire Giant going over the way of Free Range Chickens. That will be a nice advantage. However, now that the Fire Giant is down, well, actually, let me reconsider that. I was going to say there's not really anything for the two teams to team fight over because Fire Giant's down. So I don't know what you do really with this Fire Giant buff, except for maybe look to strip away some towers. But then I remembered this is a gold game. And I remembered that we're 10 to 17 kills already. So, you know, they'll probably just fight over nothing and it'll result in something anyway.
Yeah, my bet right now is there's going to be a fight just inside of the jungle, probably right around this, like the speed buff to green buff line there, as Free Range Chickens goes to push a tower. There's probably going to be a fight that starts in the jungle close by it. That ends up being going strongly in one way or the other. And that'll probably end up leading to most of the towers going down, if not a Phoenix afterwards.
Yeah, I do think that's probably what we'll see. Ooh, attempted invade coming in here. The Geb gets a knockup, but he is all on his lonesome. He blinked in with no help whatsoever. He's in a 1v2, but he's still relatively healthy, down to about 50% HP. Most of the characters will walk away for Asgard Okami, and now it's the Geb who's in trouble. That's what happens when you walk into multiple enemy characters all by yourself as a support. You need a damage dealer.
Yeah, it was a big what's the word I'm looking for here? Use, I'll just say, because I can't think of the actual word, but a lot of uses of ults there on the side of Asgard Okami. 4 ultimates just to kill a single Geb that was by himself for the most part. Baron was kind of around, but not enough to really have much impact. But I will say, though, that my call of it being a fight around that gold or that green buff line was pretty darn accurate as the Geb decided to dive into the Persephone right by those XPs next by it.
Count that as a win. That's a prediction for you. Chalk one up in the win category, as looks like Free Range Chickens, as a consolation prize, will strip away this tier 2 tower essentially for free, as Asgard Okami have kind of abandoned laning as we know it. They're grouped up as 4 in the mid lane, and that means the lane pressure in the 2 side lanes is starting to really grow. They're now putting some damage onto the Phoenix, and if that's Asgard Okami to finally do something in this lane. May is that an overextension, though, as it looks like the Osiris is in trouble trying to slow people and get himself out to safety. He is at about half health at the moment. Jarman Pillar's going to lock him in, and yeah, going for the Phoenix all on your lonesome was maybe a little bit too much for Giraffe Anatomy. Not quite going to get what he was looking for there.
Yeah, it looks like Free Range Chickens is kind of having some issues determining whether they want to push for towers or just farm up and get objectives that spawn in, like the Gold Fury that they just got. But all in all, it looked as though JKT and Giraffe Anatomy were trying to push that fireside lane down, the solo lane down, while we had the Izanami and the Baron just more focusing on farming. If the Izanami and Baron get involved with these pushes, especially since they still had Fire Giant buff for quite a long time here, now only about 40-ish seconds left on that buff, I feel as though they could have gotten probably a tower, if not a Phoenix, if they were grouped up on that solo side while Gub was distracting the enemy team on the other side of the map.
Ooh, attempted dive coming in. Here's another one. They haven't been afraid to take those in the past, but they will hold off on the aggression just a little bit more now. ultimate going in zone and allow this Huyi to barely escape with his life, and now the aggression has flipped, going onto the 2 invading players from Free Range Chickens. They're both down to about half health, and with so many players here from Asgard Okami, I don't see them walking away from this. That will be a falling Izanami. Geth has movement speed, going to get himself out. Now the ultimate comes in from Baron, going to drag back to Persephone and get a kill onto him. The execute potentially coming through here, going to maybe find what he's looking for. No, the Kokolin will go down, but not from the execute. Everybody going down now from Asgard Okami as the rest of the Free Range Chickens have shown up and are finding the kills that they need. One answered back. The Huyi coming back from Fountain, going to find what he needs onto that Baron, but the Kamazot's going to get something, or excuse me, that's the Achilles going to get what he's looking for onto the next to last remaining player for Asgard Okami. It's just Batskid left alive now, as there are 3 players still alive for Free Range Chickens after a couple had escaped from that fight. And in the long run, I think the lifesteal once again will benefit the Kamazots here in that fight. So I don't think you want to stick around for too long if you're this Achilles, because I don't think you can win this all on your own.
The Achilles right now, he probably won't get the. Well, he might actually end up getting the trade onto the Kamazots, but right now he's more distracting, as you see Giraffe Anatomy actually pushing that right side Phoenix down. Has minion wave, looks to probably going to be able to get it before the rest of Asgard can get there. Potentially might have to leave at 1 HP.
It's going to be close. He might just sacrifice. But with the way Free Range Chickens are playing, I wouldn't be surprised to see him sacrifice himself to get the Phoenix. But no, he'll use Lord of the Afterlife, leap over the Phoenix, and get himself away, just throwing down about 90% of that HP on the Phoenix. And meanwhile, on their lonesome, the other players who have gone MIA for Free Range Chickens have decided to take this Fire Giant. So this is, again, a distraction while Free Range Chickens take something else on the map, and they will lose Giraffe Anatomy in exchange for it. They'll get that Fire Giant, but only on 3 members of Free Range Chickens, as they're the only ones alive to get it. And now they're going to get engaged on. Are they going to be able to keep this Fire Giant buff? Geb isn't. He's going to go down very quickly. That's going to be a trade out onto Batskid, but now there's just 2 players remaining who are currently being chased. They may not get to keep this Fire Giant buff in any way, shape, or form. Lots of players low here for Asgard Okami. Will the Chain Lightning actually get? It gets 2. Holy cow! That's a lot of turnaround kills, but I didn't think we were going to see any. Huyi going to jump in, trying to find something. They will get another kill onto the Huyi as 2 players all on their lonesome from Free Range Chickens, using the Fire Giant buff and the XP and gold lead that they had, managed to shred through basically the entire side of Asgard Okami on their own.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, Kamazot says go Caduceus Shield instead of a Spectral Armor there as his defense item. Yeah, it buffs his healing, but there's only so much that can be done when your healing is only a small portion of a crit auto from Izanami there. And he just goes down immediately like a sack of bricks, but it just doesn't really work for them here. They don't have anybody who can effectively die besides Kenny Alpha on the Kokolin. The Kamazots just isn't really able to make any impacts. Now he has the Brawler's Beat Stick online, so you might be able to dive onto Royal and the Baron Samdi a little bit better. But a lot of the wins that we're seeing from Asgard Okami is Free Range Chickens just refusing to group up and refusing to have a single idea as a team. So Asgard Okami can potentially still come back and win this because of how messy Free Range Chickens are now playing here in the late game. But at this point in time, it really is just going to be if Free Range Chickens can get a single call where they all group up as 5 and push, they will just straight up win the game, in my opinion.
It's Chicken's game to lose. And we say that a lot as casters, but in this case, it is 100% true. Their choices will determine if they win this game or not, and less so Asgard Okami's choices. If Free Range Chickens make the correct choices, this game is a walk away. If they continue to make potentially less great choices, then there's a chance for Asgard Okami to come back here. But it is entirely in the power of Free Range Chickens to decide what happens here.
Speaking of choices being made, it looks like they pushed a little bit too far up on Asgard Okami's side on the duo lane. Getting rotated by Free. Oh my god, the turnaround damage is just insane from the Persephone there, and kills Izanami immediately before the fight can even begin.
Quite going to get what they were looking for. They get way more damage than they bargained for. Going to drop onto the Izanami, but they're still looking to chase. Very low health is this Geb, but he's going to look for a knock-up. The rotation coming in on the backside. Baron going to try and find some of these lower health members. Going to drag 1 in, 2 into his death. A 3rd gets knocked up and stunned. This is going to be a blow-up onto the Ganesh as well for a 3rd kill. It will. So they lose the Izanami, but immediately the rotation turns that into 3 kills going the way of Free Range Chickens.
Yeah, with the Izanami being lost, it looks like Free Range Chickens isn't exactly down to try to push anything else. Instead, just going back and taking the Gold Fury. I do think that they could have pushed for that left side Phoenix. They had waves there. They're still up 4-2. There's definitely a chance that they could have gotten that. As we see, yeah, Stone of Fall being hovered there, built on the Geb. This Geb build is definitely interesting with the mannequins and now the Stone of Fall. He's about to hit 20, so we'll see if he decides to go into a Hidden Blade or a Mannequin's Scepter, or if he's just going to sell and get something else. Personally, I think a Hidden Blade Geb could be pretty interesting here and just add to the damage he's already doing as we see a fight starting to break out on this left side Phoenix.
Players here, the rest are back doing other things elsewhere. As we've mentioned before, the team coordination not always there. It's going to result in a trade kill, one on either side. Will the execute come out? Yes, but it will not come from the Achilles. It will be an execution by the Baron, as still the remaining two players have been grouped up by a third here. It's a 3 versus 3 Phoenix Siege here on the side, as Izanami is pushing down the middle of mid lane, just flip pushing, looking for something there. The ult comes out, going to zone everybody away. Health bars mostly favoring free-range chickens here as they continue this Phoenix side siege. Going to try and look to dash past, and they will get the kill onto the Hu Yi. Now very low health is this Ganesh. Will they chase and get him as well? The mid Phoenix is taken down by the Izanami. She rotates over, and now all of the birds are going down for Asgard Okami. It's just 2 players remaining here in a siege defense against 4 players for free-range chickens, and I think they're looking to end here. Not really anybody going to be up in time in order to prevent this from going one way or the other, so this is all on the defense of 2 players here. Asgard Okami going to lose 1 in the Persephone. That's another one down in the Ganesh, and free-range chickens will end us out at 26 minutes. 33 kills. They are your victor.
Yeah, again, that kind of just went back down to what we were saying, where the second that they grouped up and pushed down a single objective as 4 or 5, they ended up winning that very strongly. Persephone only survives that initial engagement on left side Phoenix because she has alternate timeline. And so she actually ended up dying in the Hu Yi ultimate, but because everyone was zoned out by the Sunbreaker, she was able to revive and get back to Fountain. But at that point, she had no relics. She had nothing besides her damage. It ended up just kind of being a trickle-down effect where if you're Asgard Okami here, you did a good job punishing free-range chickens for the mistakes that they made and the overextensions that they made, but you need to have some type of initiation or some type of initiative to get into these fights better going into game number 2.
You can see how dominant that Baron was when it all is said and done. 9-1 and 15 with 35k player damage. That was incredible, and a lot more. When we saw the Baron pick, I raised my eyebrow, but I shouldn't have, because that is an incredibly well done play from Royal and from all of free range chickens. A little sloppy, things we could clean up for sure, but they walk away with the win here in game 1. That's going to do it for us for the moment. We're going to throw it to a break and come right back at you with game 2. Don't go anywhere, everybody.
right hand side yet again. Yes, he's trying to pressure out the solo lane. We've saw him doing it in game 1 and a little bit in game 2. His goal is to kind of just pressure out Snowflake. Terra.
Oh my god. Oh my god! Brian Codex out here soloing Alfredo, the support, taking down the ADC. That's gotta be a clip that we throw somewhere, man. That was absolutely bonkers. Alfredo not feel the global ult, but she's here despite that. And we might see Apollo able to come as well. He does the final basic as Kairos tries to finish it off with the dash, but Fuzzy Clay did this, but regardless, it will be a Primal Fury going the way of Fuzzy and the Wuzzies, and now over 10,000 gold up before 20 minutes into the game, and it wants to be even more. Orden trying to chase out Kairos. It will be some peel, but
Fuzzy
joining in on the ultimate, gonna force out the ultimate from Kairos as well, and he might just get away, but it forces him to dash into a rough spot. Raijin dashes as well, trying to get damage from the Taiko Drum, so gets taken out before he can get more than one shot off, but Alfredo finding himself a double kill, looking for the triple. Fafnir low, triple kill coming out from Alfredo. He's going to look for the Quadra, getting low here, trying to find it onto the Artemis, but Double Mumble doing a great job of zoning him out and gets the dash to finish off the kill. Soul still alive, wants to put more damage into this Sobek, and he might be able to finish it off, and he does. 4 members fall from Going Ghost, only 3 members on the side of Fuzzy and the Wuzzies, and I gotta say,
That's all of their ults? Yeah.
Oh,
Huge! Oh my god!
huge.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
bro.
go! My goodness.
Their room. Do you knock up?
I have it in 1.
Nah. Damn. If we were all right, we could do gold. If I just killed Mass too.
Going for
Kill the Bacchus.
Easier kill.
Coming over. Nice job.
He jumped.
Yeah, he
Nope.
jumped around me.
Yeah, we don't have anyone else coming. He's gone.
I'm just
We can leave him
backing
go.
real quick.
Good shit.
Oh, just supports carrying games.
Your evil strengthens our
On my way. All me, baby, all me.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Albion Giants League. We have the free-range chickens facing up against Asgard Okami. Dinos are joined by Narwallaby. And I guess game 1 was the chickens won, maybe with they're running around with their heads cut off, perhaps?
That that is a fantastic analogy right there, Dinosaur. I don't even think I can make any comments on the game itself after that wonderful comment. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it back to you and let you just keep talking. Since
okay.
such
I'm
primo commentary there.
right. Yeah.
Excellent analysis. You really just took everything
Right.
that I wanted to say from my mouth and just went ahead and said it. So yeah, I'll send it on back to you.
I'm sure you setting the spectator up for picks and bans has nothing to do with that. It definitely was
Oh no,
all
no,
of
100%
my
not, 100%
great analysis of that game. And I think, both teams honestly looked aimless at times and they were wandering. And I suppose a bit of that is expected when you're at this level. But I think that, outside of a few like momentary glitches, I guess you could call them, or poor decisions from free range chickens, they seemed pretty much the dominant side, and maybe they were a little too confident at times, right? We saw the Geb kind of roll in a couple times, be like, yo, I may be a Geb, but I could take on 5 people, and then he could not take on 5 people. So
no, but a lot of times he did live for excessive amounts of times and ate 4 ultimates just to kill a lone Geb at the back camps. So despite what anyone wants to say about the Geb gameplay there, build needs a lot of work, positioning needs a lot of work, but if you can't kill. They're gonna dump a whole bunch of abilities into you. You know, might as well try it and see how it goes.
Living up to his name, Raid Boss, I suppose.
Exactly.
You know, he was certainly difficult to deal with, and it was surprising, right? Because his build was very, very weird, but he did seem to be tanky enough, you know, to take whatever it seemed like Okami was able to throw at them. So much to his credit there, I guess. I was a little disappointed not to see if he went with the Hidden Mannequin's Blade, because I feel like Hidden Mannequin's Blade, Gab, has to be just disgustingly good, right?
Yeah, I personally have messed around with it a little bit in, you know, just random times in the solo lane over there when I got a chance to play Geb there. It's not bad. It kind of feels pretty good, especially when you just blink on the back line and you just blow up a carry as Geb. It's pretty hilarious to sit there and watch. Whether or not, you know, Mannequin's Hidden Blade is going to be the optimal choice is still left to be decided, because, you know, Vamp Shroud is still a good item. You know, if you're going support, Benevolence has kind of been making a comeback just because Compassion is still a pretty good starter to build into. And then you still have Sentinels that is still just pretty good auras if you're going to play more of a backliney Geb. I think Geb does have a few pretty good roles, and I'm expecting if I'm Asgard Okami, I'm either looking to pick up the Geb for myself here, or just ban it away if you don't want to play it.
Yeah, they're gonna move over picks and bans here right now. Throw it right over there. As my poor doggo has a bit of an aneurysm. I hope my bike's not picking that up. Probably is. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Spazzing out.
You know, he's just really excited to see this game. You know, he's
exactly.
wants to see.
He saw the last one. He's just all set and ready to go.
He wants to know what Asgard Okami are going to look to bring in this upcoming game, and I would be interested to see what changes both teams make. I mean, ultimately I don't think that you can blame picks and bans for that one. The Baron popped off, right? That was a big question mark.
Yeah, Baron.
You know, Izanami did exactly what we expected it to. I would expect maybe. I didn't see too much value out of maybe the Persephone pick. Maybe they could look to make, you know, maybe Asgard could make a change in that regard. But I think like a lot of the issues were just these team fights that were breaking out sort of sporadically over the map, over basically next to nothing, right? You know, the kind of thing that you would expect, I guess, from players of this level, from gold players, right? That's kind of a common mistake that you see here. And we do see, the Geb being banned. That's spicy.
Yeah, I really like the bans so far coming out from Asgard Okami. Along with the changes to their bans, they also made the change. You know, they lost that one, so they elected to take second pick here coming into game number 2, which, you know, I kind of think second pick has a little bit of a stronger position right now, because you can basically 2 for 1 the enemy team, whereas they get one good pick and you get the very next 2 S tier gods. So I like what Asgard Okami changed up there with their draft so far, banning away probably the 2 main problem characters that that free range chickens had last game. So go ahead and taking them away. I'm interested to see if, you know, they're still going to look to take away maybe another pick that free range chickens ran, or if they're going to maybe look to take away the Persephone if they're worried about free range chickens possibly picking it up.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think second pick right now is just better. There's so many good picks, and being able to take 2 of them as opposed to just one. Like, it's not like there's one pick right now that I think is like so much above the next 2 that you would prior that way, unless you could particularly make good use of that pick. And Artemis certainly up there, right? I think Artemis is still good even with the changes. I think Artemis is still very, very strong currently, so I'm not surprised to see free range chickens look the way of Artemis. I want to get your opinion on this Gilgamesh ban. That happened a while ago, but you know, we were talking, and so Gilgamesh, obviously he received a bit of a nerf. His cooldown, I think, is now 120 seconds.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah, they added quite a bit of time onto that bad boy, and I know my team's been scrimming with it. We've been scrimming against people with it, and it feels like, you know, that wouldn't be super impactful, but he just, to me, doesn't feel as impactful as he was. Do you think he still warrants a ban?
Yeah, I think he's still ban worthy. You know, even with he still utilizes a lot of the jungle items that got buffed. A lot of those jungle items that got buffed are still really strong on Gilgamesh in general, so he's still worthy of a ban. But apparently, worthy of a pick this high in the draft is Vulcan for Asgard Okami. Not a god that we have seen in quite a long time. I'm trying to think back in my brain catalog and remember the last time I saw a Vulcan picked in a competitive setting, and yeah, it might have been Ven.
It was just before playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, either way, it has been a hot minute since Vulcan has got picked, and that I believe that was probably even a game where they're just like, oh hey, we'll just pick all the gods that haven't been picked in the SBLs yet.
I mean, to be fair, it's Ven, so
that is true too. But definitely an interesting pickup. I do think he can bring a lot of burst out of nowhere with the 3-1 combo. He can place his turret down and just kind of have additional little bit of zone control. The ultimate can be used for objective secure. It's a little bit better at objective stealing, though, in my opinion, because you can just launch it from long range, and everybody that's in that fire giant pit's going to take a bunch of damage, and maybe you just get fire at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about the second pick strategy, right? There's a lot of great picks. So pick second so you can get two of them, right? Vulcan and Anher aren't those picks, and Anher still pretty strong, right? Now Vulcan has always been strong, but not safe. He doesn't really have an escape. He doesn't really have the CC immunity that you want. His kit's a little awkward too because most of his damage is in his backstep, which is, I guess, the way like you would get out of things.
Which is now going to be crippled out by the Ares. So
yeah,
he's not going to have one of his primary damaging abilities.
Yeah, it's Vulcan is an interesting one, especially the top pick. I think might be a mistake. I'm a big fan of Vulcan, and I think that in a competitive environment, you can certainly pick around it to make that pick work. Right. I don't think that you ever have a world where that is a threat right now of being banned.
Yeah, and that's definitely like we said, when your second pick, you have the very last pick of the game as well. Vulcan easily slots into that pick, so you can kind of keep some of your intentions hidden with maybe where you're going for that mid lane. So maybe would have liked to seen maybe even Cerberus picked up in that Vulcan slot, considering Cerberus is something that could have been picked up by free range chickens or potentially banned away there, and then kind of just moving around some of your draft phase. But Cerberus still has potential to go into the support role, but primarily where I've seen him played and where I like to play Cerberus is over in that solo lane.
Yeah, I think Cerberus just feels better in general in that solo lane, but especially right now with the current meta and the way things are playing out. And I guess like the one counterpoint would be maybe they're saving the last pick for something like a Khepri where they don't want them to pick an Execute or something, but at that point you could maybe just ban those out. I think it's just a weird one for me. I think also you're right, like they should have probably picked Cerberus first, just because you don't want the enemy team taking that. Maybe they were holding off on it. Maybe they wanted something else, and the Ares changed everything. You're like, well, now we can't do that. That cripple is crippling.
One of the surprising things to me too is that Artio has made it to the second phase of bans, both games here. With how Kenny Alpha kind of played in that game number 1 on the Kukulkan, he had a really dominant laning phase, but wasn't really able to make the rotations out of lane to kind of help his team. I kind of would have expected Asgard Okami to maybe try to give him that Artio, so he has all the lane pressure in the world, and Artio is great for rotations since they increase the speed on her Bear Form 3 dash, so she's able to kind of make those rotations to mid extremely quickly and have huge impacts in a lot of those mid fights, as well as rotating over for Gold Furies as well.
Yeah, I think RTO might have been a good pickup for either team, honestly, but they opt not to, and I can see why you might like a Cerberus over an RDO, right? In this team comp, it makes securing Vulcan's ult damage a lot easier.
It's true.
When you can kind of drag people into it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird pick and ban phase for me because they picked Vulcan at the top spot. Now we see in a wheelish, perhaps a little in combination. They do have quite a few knockups. Ironhair has a knockup. Vulcan obviously has one of the most annoying knockups in the game
Yeah.
that he can maybe utilize. And you know, I think that the saying goes that you don't build a team around in a wheelish. But it's always nice to have those extra options.
Yeah, it kind of looks like they are building the team around the wheelish with the going pretty heavy into the knock-up focus. But the other thing I want to point out from Asgard Okami, 4 of their bans were targeted at free-range chickens and what they played last game. They took away the Izanami, they took away the Geb, they took away the Osiris, they took away the Achilles. Me personally, I really like that kind of banning phase. You know, if free range chickens just kind of rolled you with a lot of those picks and you're not sure you really have great answers for them, take them off it, make them show you that they can play something else. So I really enjoy that kind of banning. And you know, he's Loki. He's really annoying, especially with a lot of the jungle buffs. He's still going to blow out a ton of damage, and if he ever gets on a backliner, they're just dead instantly.
Yeah, I also in the vein of annoying gods to play around. Here comes Mercury, and you certainly have to play a little differently with Mercury. You always have to have in the back of your mind he could be right around that corner, waiting for you to step into lane.
Yep.
And so that's certainly something that Okami's got to be prepared for. And with a god like Vulcan, that makes things a lot more difficult for him to step up and be dominant in lane, like you would hope he would be able to be. And so we'll see how how the Vulcan plays, but how Asgard Okami plays around that. And then King Arthur also kind of annoying when you can't just jump away from him.
Right.
So I think Free Range Chickens has done a good job handling this Vulcan. I'm not sure how much I like their picks around the other picks necessarily. They aren't bad, so I think that that's kind of a win for them, right?
Yeah, I think Free Range Chickens has a lot of like really good picks. King Arthur's kind of been making a resurgence and kind of just came back recently with a lot of the other nerfs coming out of the solo lane. Bluestone kind of making a comeback there, so no real surprise to see him kind of make the comeback as the premier Bluestone warrior. But looks like Jingqin is the last pick for Asgard. Another 2 knockups for Jingqin. This is a team comp fully built around a wheelish, and this is Asgard Okami trying to get a wheelish ahead and win through their jungle. Whether or not they're going to be able to do that against free range chickens, where you have the Ares is going to be knockup immune, Giannis is going to be able to get out of a lot of this stuff, Artemis is going to cause a lot of problems as well, and Mercury potentially going to be able to just 2-shot the wheelish as he builds into that crit. I'm interested to see how these teams play with their picks and bans that they have here.
Yeah, I don't think that Okami's team is so one-dimensional that they've necessarily picked around this wheelish. I think certainly like they're looking to set this wheelish up, but also a lot of these picks work really, really well with this Vulcan pick, Cerberus with his ultimate, and then you know the Jingqian ultimate. Both sort of can either burn beads and then the other one can go in and pick them off and drag him to one spot for that Vulcan ult. That could be pretty big as well. So there's a little bit of flex, but I think that you look at these picks and Free Range Chickens sort of has like less of a team identity and more of these are just really, really good picks right now. Whereas Asgard Okami clearly has a game plan that they're looking to implement in this game going forward.
Yep.
Right. Well, looks like we are ready to drop it into the game, so I will send it over to the guys on the cast. Take it away, Voiceless One and Argent Surge.
Thank you very much, Dino Sir and Narwhal. We're back. It's the Voiceless One. It's Argent Surge. It's Free Range Chickens versus Asgard Okami. Last game was a banger. I'm expecting this game to be a banger. We've switched sides. Free Range Chickens did take first pick, and that means they are our order squad. Asgard Okami going to be the Chaos team. But other than that, everything is just like we left it. I'm excited to get into this one and see how it falls out.
Yeah, and I know the guys on the desk were talking about some of the drafts here and how Asgard Okami seems to have more direction than Free Range Chickens does, and I definitely agree with that. My concern is that I feel like Asgard Okami got a bit too stuck in with their draft idea throughout the drafting phase and didn't really adjust for what Free Range Chickens was picking, because Free Range Chickens either saw what was coming and decided to start making some picks to counter them, or just happened to stumble across into a lot of picks that worked very effectively against this kind of knock-up heavy, a Wheelix-centered composition. And we know that Batkid had some issues last game, really having impact on the map of the Kamazats, so hopefully we can see some more impact out of him on the Wheelix as we see early pressure already happening in duo side.
Tending to match what we saw in first game. Not afraid to fight are either of these squads, especially free-range chickens, getting very aggressive early on in the match. Yeah, I'm really torn because I like some of the individual picks coming out from Asgard Okami quite a bit, but I feel like I like the cohesion and the draft as a whole better from free-range chickens, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely think that, again, it is kind of that direction versus individual picks, and Free Range Chickens definitely has a lot of strong individual picks. There's not a clear composition idea at first glance on Free Range Chickens, but they have a lot of team fight within the Artemis and the Ares and the King Arthur, where King Arthur and Mercury can just hard dive onto the backline with the Giannis kind of supplementing where he needs to be, playing in the edges of fights, coming on the backline through a portal, throwing an unstable vortex out, and then backing away. Or he can play on the backline and help with the Wheelix, or the Artemis out. So it offers a lot of flexibility on free range chickens compared to Asgard's Okami's very clear-cut goals in mind for here. And if you're Asgard Okami, I know we said at the end of last game that you have to be looking for some type of initiative. You have to be looking for some type of way to get into these fights and start out these fights on your own terms. And it's funny that I say that because Wheelix passive is called initiative. So if they have this, Wheelix have these impacts and be looking for these aggressive ganks and looking to start fights and looking for picks, they'll be a lot better off, since Free Range Chickens just kind of wants to run it down and will probably put themselves out of position enough to where those picks can come through.
One thing to remember is that at this level of play, comfortability is king. The gods you're good with are the best ones you should be playing. Meta matters very little when comfortability is such a factor here. So, you know, if these are the picks that each team is comfortable with, then, you know, coordination, meta-ness, synergy, these things don't matter quite so much, because if you're comfortable and you play well on each of these gods, then you can make them work, then more power to you, you know? As we did see a invade on the blue camp, that's going to get stolen away by free-range chickens, and Cerberus over in that lane not really in a position to do anything about it. He's just going to lose out on his blue buff.
Yeah, we just saw that Free Range Chickens had that aggressive plays on the blue buff last game, and Kenny Alpha was still able to be ahead for most of the laning phase, even throughout that. So I'm not really that worried about it, especially being on the Cerberus. He has a lot of pressure, a lot of ability to rotate in on fights even from behind and make big impact. So, I mean, the blue buff going down is not a good thing for somebody who needs to have the mana like the Cerberus does, but at the same time, I doubt he's going to be truly hurting on it if they're able to rotate in and help them on the next rotation.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this game ends up going, as honestly, we've had a very, comparatively, it's been quite a calm game. We've had, you know, 4 whole minutes and nobody's died yet. What the heck is happening here? Who are you guys, and what have you done with the teams from last match?
That might honestly be just because of the Mercury pickup here. And most Mercuries, though they might look for some early engages, whether in the mid lane or the duo lane, try to get a cheeky gank in there. Really, you're coming online with the level 5 hit, as that gives you your ultimate. It allows you to make these big impacts across the map. So we actually see King Arthur decide to blink and get an engagement on Cerberus.
Yeah, they're going to go forward, trying to find something, but that's kind of your usual solo lane slapboxing. The whole team's going to walk away. Oh, Mercury ults. I don't think he got anybody with that, though. They're going to try and turn around to get some additional damage onto him. Everybody going to walk away mostly healthy, though. Everyone's abilities kind of missing. It was everybody throwing abilities out and none of them connecting with anybody, really.
Yeah, one thing I kind of want to point out is last game, Raid Boss on the Geb had mannequins. This game, he has Warding Sigil on the Ares. So that's an item we don't really see that often. Personally, I like the aspect of it, of what it can do. I think it can be a really interesting item, and I do wish it was built more, but when it comes to pure stat-wise, a lot of the other starter items kind of overshadow it. So seeing Ares decide to pick this up, maybe going for with the upgraded sigil that explodes and deals damage later on once he hits these late game team fights. I think he's essentially just going to be looking to run it down like he did last game on the Geb, but on Ares this time.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just his play style. But as we can see early on here, it's not working out all too great. The Xingqiang up 2 levels so far in the early game over that Ares. So maybe not as dangerous as you'd like it to be. Ares is one of those gods where when he is powerful and he's played well, he feels oppressive and impossible to get away from. And when he's not, you're just like, what are you doing here, man? Like, he just kind of stands there and you just sort of ignore him and shoot his teammates.
Yeah, as we see, if you watch where he's actually... Oh, wow, as a 1v1 kill comes through, Royal manages to solo Sir Embers in the mid lane. But if you watch how Raid Boss is pathing to anything on the map here, he's not exactly getting any farm, or at least he's getting camps by himself. So he's going to be down in XP. He's not soaking any waves. He's not actually sitting there in lanes most of the time. He's kind of just wandering the map looking for spare camps and ganks, as we see actually gank coming out on duo side now.
Uh-oh, well, we did get the solo kill from the Giannis in mid lane, but it's answered back by a gank coming through here in duo lane. That's a dead Artemis, and so first blood does go over the way of free-range chickens, but Asgard Okami will answer right back with a kill of their own, meaning gold difference is pretty negligible in the grand scheme of things. So whole team's gonna reset and just keep doing what we do. Yeah, see, gold difference about 400. By the time the game is over, that will mean very little. So this is near as makes no difference even here so far. I like the respect that both teams are giving for each other. The needless naked aggression. Oh, is he gonna get dragged back in and killed? He will get the pull, but the beads come out on the other side. Mercury comes through, gets what he's looking for in the kill onto the Onher, and the very low health Ares will make it out. I can't believe he survived that, but he does.
Yeah, the second that Ares survived that Desert Fury and turned back around to start chasing down Gilly, I knew that there was trouble coming. Mercury is coming in, has that blink over the Awilix, to decide to go to the beads to put himself into a good spot for the kill, but now put himself into a bad spot for the gank. I think he's going to be able to get out, though.
He will make it out. I'm not sure why he stayed there for quite so long. Not sure were those harpies even up? I don't think they were even up, but just kind of standing there looking for vision or something. I'm not sure. But what I was going to say is I like the respect that both teams are giving each other. I think after that first game yesterday, or excuse me, not yesterday, first game just a little bit earlier, both teams kind of respecting what that early lead can do for them and against them. So the restraint that they're showing is nice to see, learning their lessons just a little bit here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's a lot more of sparring going on a little bit instead of just full run it down. It's a lot more of a light tap, a light kick to see where the reactions are going to be on both sides of the map here. A lot less emphasis being put on the solo side. I feel at least nothing as blatant as last game, diving T2s just to get a kill in the solo lane. It seems to be just a lot more respect in each laning phase as we see an actual solo fight starting to break out now.
Ooh, ultimate comes out from the Mercury looking for a kill. That will be the confirm from the King Arthur. He's going to turn and try and find something onto this Cerberus, despite the fact that both players for free range chicken's extremely low health. The Cerberus is forced back under his tier 1 tower, but an exchange kill goes the way of the dual lane as we lose Artemis once again. Ares ult comes out and is going to drag the Onher back towards him, but with the leap and the desert sands just pulling in, he won't be able to... Ooh, through space and time, almost connects. Makes me clench just a little bit there. As we off-screen do see another kill going over to the other side. So it's a 2-for-2 trade when all is said and done. Free-range chicken still up by 1 kill. Make that 2 kills. The attack comes through, diving underneath the tower. This Giannis will get what he's looking for. Will the peel from his Ares be enough to get him out? He sees the ultimate coming through from the Vulcan. Not quite going to get away from that one. And so that is another kill going the way of Asgard Okami. And now just the Ares once again will make it away, I think, with his life intact. They're chasing underneath the tower. They don't seem to respect the damage coming out here too much, but I think with the probably has a pot up, I think right now with the healing coming through just a little bit passively there, he will have enough sustain to make it out. Oh, did pop the med cloak. Thank you very much, our wonderful observer. Did pop the med cloak to keep himself alive right there.
Yeah, that fight lasted so long that both the Awilix and the Artemis, who died at the start of any engagements happening, were able to respawn and get back to that T1 before it ended. That was just pure brawling. I know a lot of people say that lower leveled conquest games are just arena on a big map, as we see Mercury desperately trying to get the last hit on the Wheelix. This is like hey, it's a gap closer. It's a gap closer. He just
calculated.
You know, He wasn't going to catch up. Suku was about to come back online. He had to close the gap somehow and get that last auto out. So I think that that's a really great Sonic Boom. An even better dash that forces out the Vulcan beads right afterwards.
Yeah, that was definitely calculated. Very proud. Good moment there. As more slap boxing, ultimate going to come out. Both ultimates going to come out, dragging King Arthur back underneath the tier 1 tower, but these guys are both pretty tanky, I think. Ooh, I was going to say, I think they'll both walk away, but gank coming in. This will help. The King Arthur will go down, but they'll get the trade kill using the gank coming through from the Mercury. So well played from free-range chickens. Maybe knowing the fight was never going to go their way. Maybe just had the gank on the way anyway. But either way, they get a 1-for-1 trade in a position where easily it could have been just a net loss there, and they keep a little bit of a gold lead, about 1.7k thereabouts.
Jungle fight.
And yeah, jungle fight coming out here. Solo one-on-one, and it looks like the Mercury's winning. Yep, he'll get what he wants against the Wheelish, but will he get out? As a couple players from Asgard Okami are here trying to punish him. The ultimate is currently still down as he used it during that last fight. He cannot use it to escape. The dash comes out. The jukes are good. Holy cow, his team is there to peel. The ult comes through from the Ares. He'll drag one back in, but the ult coming through from the Vulcan will confirm the kill onto Giannis. Now coming back in. After all of that, he's going to go back in to try and help his Ares get out safely. He won't get the kill. That's the death coming through for the Mercury, as a clown fiesta over in the mid lane will result in 2 kills going the way of Asgard Okami against free-range chickens. But once again, for like the 3rd time in as many minutes, this Ares does make it out with his life.
Yeah, it was almost criminal. Mercury almost got out. It ended up falling because he tried to come back in and help out after getting the peel from the Ares and the Giannis there. That was just kind of a really awkward engagement all around. As we're speaking of engagements, we have a Wheelix and Vulcan both heading over to the duo side. Artemis doesn't have Tusky, so she's a free kill here. Yeah, and Desert Fury coming through, tears through her. But I kind of want to hop back to that. What happened to start all that out on the solo side with JKT getting soloed out by Kenny Alpha, because yeah, Kenny Alpha did end up dying from the Mercury immediately afterwards, but like I was saying before, this solo lane really is, whereas everywhere else on the map for Chickens had been usually kind of just winning the lane naturally. This solo side they've been having to try to focus down, since Kenny Alpha seems to be usually getting the upper hand in these 1v1s. So Giraffe Anatomy having a crit item online, going to a second crit item. If he keeps sitting over on the solo side, it's probably where a lot of the X is going to be. But if left alone, Kenny Alpha is going to be making big impacts against JKT and being able to rotate it across the map.
Sovereignty being picked up there for King Arthur, going to reduce that physical damage quite a bit. It's interesting, as you were talking about, we do see Giraffe Anatomy spending a lot of time over on the solo lane. And so in response to that, I think you see Asgard Okami putting quite a bit of pressure on the duo lane on the other side of the map, which is why you've seen that Artemis go down so many times. But you would think that that would translate into a much bigger lead in terms of experience and gold here, but it just really hasn't. There's only about half a level in it between this Artemis and the Onher, despite the fact the Onher's 2-2-2, and the Artemis is 0-3. So maybe just farm, camp, grabbing the camps better, something like that coming out here. So the pressure has been put on the left side of the map from Asgard Okami, but it's not translating into too much of a win. Ultimate coming out, Sonic Boom just to close the gap. He'll grab and throw up a Wheelish, and Batskid will be taken down once again, just getting bullied at this point by the Mercury. 6-1-1 is this Mercury so far at only 14 minutes into the game.
Vulcan's soloing the Gold Fury right now.
yeah, he gets it.
He used the turret to just tank it up. I mean, it looks like Free Chickens is not happy about that. Gets the tower and returns, now looking for the lives of the people in dual lane.
They'll rotate over. They'll collect the kill onto the Ares, who finally, after escaping death like 3 or 4 times, will finally get out with his life. Ooh, Giannis there to provide some big burst damage. Try and make them think twice about pursuing any further. Ooh, not going to quite connect with the through the space in time. And now, all players just going to disengage. 1 kill going the way of free range from Asgard Okami against free range chickens. And I think Asgard Okami are very happy with that. They get the Gold Fury and a kill in exchange for a T1 tower that was already extremely damaged. So I think good trade coming out from them as they take a very minor lead here.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some better shot calling from Asgard Okami come out in return for the pressure on the right side of the map there. They know they've been sitting on solo side. The second the Bats Kid gets ganked by 3 members at his own bat camps, that was immediately the play for the Vulcan and the Shinchen to start up the Gold Fury. I know we were kind of saying about how Artemis has been dying, but there's not a big level lead there. It's because Asgard Okami hadn't been looking for anything really after getting these ganks. Is kind of just get the kill, back out, go back to the farm that we have. If they look a bit more aggressively or look for some more objectives, they'll be a lot better off with the ganks that they are getting off successfully.
Tempted Stygian Torment coming in there, but not going to quite connect anything. Beads burn to get away from that. And now being burned down just a little bit is this Mercury. Once again uses the Sonic Boom, but not going to protect him from the one of Vulcan. And they're going to transform that into potentially, Beads used to avoid the pullback from the Awelish, but it's still a 4 versus 1. Other players have arrived from free range chickens trying to help. Ultimate going to keep Arthur away from the damage of that ultimate very briefly. And now Batskid going down once again, but they will exchange Arthur on JKT for it. Now it's 3 versus 2 over here in this lane. Artemis not even trying to rotate, maybe just deciding better of it, just maybe going to get some farm elsewhere. Maybe just deciding that they will disengage from here, as it looks like Royal going to back out. Royal going out, unfortunately, as his Ares is going in, so maybe a disconnect. Not quite sure who's on what page there. Looking potentially to get a kill here in the duo lane. Very, very low health on this Vulcan. Up screen, over in the solo lane, or over in the duo lane, we do see the Artemis go down. The Xingqiang goes down, and still at like 1 or 2 health, this Vulcan is still managing to get away. The Ares is going to try and back. They will get the kill finally in this Giannis, and using his ability with the portals will make it out. Holy cow.
That was a very extended fight. That was a very extended fight. And you saw Raid Boss deciding that, no, we're not backing out. I can walk at this Vulcan, and ends up walking at him, almost getting the kill on him. Chases him for about 15, 20 seconds flat with 2 HP. Ends up not being able to catch the Vulcan himself, but turns around and just gets the kill onto Guy Almighty. I thought it was kind of funny there is Giannis has already 40% cooldown reduction with the Chronos Pendant, Spear of Deso, and the Soul Gem. We saw them portal through the wall, use the Unstable Vortex to kill the Vulcan, and immediately portal again to get through the back camps to get away from Kenny Alpha on the Cerberus there. That's just the Spear of Deso proc and the probably Chronos Pendant take all happening at the same time that really helped them get out there. Otherwise, I think they might have died as well.
Yeah, ability usage coming in very clutch there, as a boot camp invade once again coming in here for free range chicken. Stygian Torment going to pull in King Arthur, but no damage will follow up. They're going to push him back underneath the tier 2 tower, slap him a little bit, take him a little bit of damage, and walk away with the blue buff that they managed to steal. Remember at the beginning of the game how I commended both of these teams for having a little bit more restraint? Forget I said that. Forget I said anything. Because this has turned into exactly the same kind of game that we saw in game 1, and honestly, I'm on board for it. It's a hoot to see. Ooh, missed Sonic Boom, attempting to find the kill onto the Vulcan, or at least the stun. Ooh, the through space and time is very good, though. That will hit, leaving the Vulcan on a sliver of health. Dive comes in, trying to get what he's looking for, gets it underneath the tier 2 tower, and the Mercury will get away. In fact, I think you should stay. Your team is still trying to fight there, dude. Gonna look for a big pull using the Ares. Gonna connect with a couple. Artemis going to get what he needs using Tusky against that Awelish, who's been just bullied to death. On her going to follow the same way, and now getting low health, this Ares will have to retreat, but the Xingqiang is also very low and still in the middle of a lot of enemy team members. The tick damage going to take down the Ares, but he will lose his life for it in exchange. Tier 1 tower goes down, and 4 kills going the way of free range chickens in this squabble in the mid lane, and the only one lost for free range chickens is Raid Boss. XP difference and gold now heavily favoring our order team, as you can see from the wonderful graph provided by our observer at the bottom.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, that Fire Scorpion's still up, so Fire Giant and Pyromancer not even on the map yet at almost 20 minutes here. This is kind of, again, this is very much more an arena over a conquest game. There's not much objective play to be had. Towers are just a figment of your imagination until they kill you. It's just a giant old map. The portal is essentially the enemy titan. You're trying to shove your minions down into it to finally finish the game after getting your bloodlust sated. So one thing, though, that I did want to point out that Free Chickens has been doing very effectively is they recognize that Bats Kid is the main problem in this comp for them. It's the person who's going to be adding the most pressure and adding the most initiation onto their team and forcing things to happen. So what they've been doing is just hard running down Basket into these camps. The right side jungle has been completely inhospitable to him. He can't even walk to his speed before they're getting chased by the Mercury and the King Arthur back to the T2. It's been a really rough going if you're Basket here. Now finally closing the jungle gap to only a measly 4 levels to the Mercury instead of the 5 that it was prior, as the Oni Fury goes the way of Asgard Okami.
Yeah, you can see that there is coordination here for Asgard Okami that Free Range Chickens just doesn't have. They group up, they very quickly, make the call to take Oni Fury, and they get it. And they do very well with it, but it just, when it comes to these team fights, somehow this chaotic style that Free Range Chickens use manages to come out in their favor. I think, like you say, because they pick a target and they all just run down that target and immediately take it out, as we see the Xingqian falling victim immediately there. Sonic Boom gonna grab and pull in on her. He'll go down, followed by the Oelish. It's just 2 remaining here for Asgard Okami, the very low health Vulcan and the relatively healthy Cerberus, as they're going to look to set up a Phoenix Siege. They're at 20 minutes, and they still can't take Fire Giant because the Forp is still alive.
Yeah,
they don't care. They're just going to take
here. Yeah, they don't need to. I think I made a mistake at the start of this game when I said the comp wasn't very clear for Free Range Chickens. I tried to come up with some ideas what they were wanting to do with it, but then I remembered it's Free Range Chickens. They're just going to run it down. So, and all these characters can individually run it down very effectively. So that should have been more obvious to me trying, silly me trying to think of actual, compositions, how team fights are going to go with all of this. This is just a W key composition, and they're running it exactly how they want to do it.
And that's exactly what I was trying to say before that team fight broke out. You just read my mind, Arjun. But yeah, that's exactly what Free Range Chicken's idea here, and it's working out well for them. I feel like strategically, Asgard Okami are playing better. They're making the right rotations. They're picking up objectives at the right time. They're finding weaknesses and exploiting them. But Free Range Chickens counter that by simply not caring, hitting W, and killing everything in sight. And it's working for them. And that's why when I saw that their comp at the beginning, I liked that there was more coordination in the comp from Asgard Okami, but I was very scared of all of these individual picks coming out from Free Range Chickens. Mercury in the hands of the right person is scary. Artemis is scary. Giannis is scary. And when all of them just coordinate and blow up a single target, there's no way you can react to that in time. So that's why I was a little afraid of this comp when we started out. It's just the blow up potential of each of these gods individually.
Yeah, and kind of to show how much of a differential there's just been in the ability to farm against. So we see Mercury just absolutely obliterate the Pyromancer by himself. That crit build
for 900 something damage just now. That's disgusting.
I will say though, if you go Boomba's Spear on Neja and build crit, you can crit Pyromancer for 2k damage with the big auto. I've been playing around with that a lot in my ranked and casual games, and it's been a lot of fun. But before we can get into more fun in ranked and casual, we're going to have to see if Free Range Chickens are going to continue to play this game as they have been.
Look at the fear from Asgard Okami. They have no interest in getting... They're so terrified of what's going to be done to them. They're backing all the way up under their tier 2 tower. This is a 5 versus 5 engagement. They should be fighting here, but they're not. They're going to get pushed away just a little bit. Ooh, ult coming through from Vulcan. We'll connect on a little bit, but the kill actually going the way of Free Range Chickens. That's going to be a dead on her. They're going to look to follow that up. The Sonic Boom coming in is going to take down the Oelish. Now everybody's still up for Free Range Chickens, and the Xingqian is going to be next to fall. He's actually going to make it back underneath the tier 1 tower. 3 from Artemis, not going to quite confirm the kill there, but in a 5 versus 5 engagement, you can tell how terrified Asgard Okami are because they were literally running away from an even engagement near that Fire Giant. And look at that! Fire minions knocking on the door of the Titan, gonna knock him down to about 75% health or so. And Free Range Chickens are now gonna pick up the Fire Giant as at last we have it online. They will take that and probably use it to siege down the rest of these towers and Phoenixes with the advantage that they have. But what do you do? And that's a genuine question. What do you do with your Asgard Okami at this point? When you're that outmatched and you feel that scared just to take a simple 5v5 team fight, where do you go from this in an advantageous way?
At this point, it's straight up just level and build difference right now. Oelix doesn't even have her second item Transcendence fully stacked yet, and it's 25 minutes into the game. You need to just be farming. Give up the Fire Giant. Send your on her, who currently is probably the most contentious when it comes to being able to do anything in these fights. Send him over to dual lanes, just hard push that, potentially push for the T2 while maybe your Xingqian or your Cerberus just slightly distracts and delays around the Fire Giant. You just need to be focusing on getting farm and pulling advantages wherever you can. You cannot contest them in a pure 5v5 on levels alone right now unless somebody very strongly outplays. And there was a moment of misplay there by JKT when he blinked in and was super alone, got brought down to very low HP, but managed to delay long enough for Ares to come and get the ultimate off and pulled all of Asgard Okami 2 separate directions, and that the team fight just kind of fell apart from there. So it's like there's moments of brilliance and there's moments of shining that Asgard Okami can potentially come back into this, but right now they just need to get levels, and that time has been cut short. Fire Giant's down. Free Range Chickens knocking on the door of their Phoenix, potentially their Titan room. There's no more time for farming. This next team fight will probably determine the game.
You have that 6th man in the Phoenix and big.
Oh.
Coming out from the Vulcan, taking down both players in the damage category to very low, and Raid Boss goes down. So this is the beginning of the makings of a comeback here for Asgard Okami. The Sonic Boom not going to connect on everybody, and now that Mercury is kind of trapped, he's going to have to get out his own way as JKT falls down as well. So that is a stupendous defense of the Phoenix coming out for Asgard Okami. They even keep the Phoenix on the left side at full health as they walk away with 2 kills and lose nobody there. Hey, if that's the start of a comeback, that's exactly what you needed for Asgard Okami. You get a big shot in the arm in terms of XP and gold that you desperately need to close this gap. The Vulcan has reached 20. The On Her is almost there as well. XP will start to matter. You can see it still very much favors free range chickens. XP will start to matter less and less as more and more people hit 20. So then it comes down to gold. And that's something you have a way back into if you're Asgard Okami. Because gold will matter less and less as well, as, you know, a lot of these builds for free range chickens are starting to be done. And then, you know, your gold is kind of just spent on power pots, and you can save up for that big 3k murder pot that gives you like 25% extra damage. But, you know, the big power spikes that are going to make a difference here are still in the favor of Asgard Okami. So if they can delay just a little bit longer, get themselves up to 20, get those 6th items online, there is a world in which they come back here.
Yeah, and that entire defense goes the way of Asgard Okami off of the shoulders of Sir Embers, getting both of the backline of Free Range Chickens down to barely an 1/8 of HP off of the Earthshaker. That needs to be... Well, I don't think that, like, while that was a really good defense, that needs to either be a more consistent thing, which is a lot to ask for one Vulcan to be hitting big ultimates like that every single fight, or they need to come up with another way to really fight back into this. They got the defense on the Phoenix, still ended up losing the mid Phoenix Mercury win and split push that at the tail end of that fight, but they weren't able to push out and get anything to bring back to their advantage. They've been playing hard defense, just turtling in within their base, and when you win these fights around your base, yeah, you are getting gold, you are getting your builds further online, but you need to be able to look outside of the Phoenix lines and see, okay, what can we potentially get that will open up a win condition off of another good defense? If they were able to get a T2 in left potentially, or push down some towers in mid or right side after that defense win, that opens up win conditions. So if that another good fight happens and goes their way, they can then just shove it down that lane and potentially end the game for their favor.
You can see the players of Free Range Chickens once again not interested in grouping whatsoever. Mercury in left lane, the rest of the players in right. The ult's going to come through, miss everybody, unfortunately, but the Stygian Torment connect's going to drag a couple of people in, but so will the ultimate from the Ares. Players exchanging damage on both sides of the Phoenix. The back line getting torn to shreds for Asgard Okami, but in exchange, the front line are going to fall. That's the Xingqian going down. Answered back by JKT. Gilly on her going to fall as well. We're exchanging on either side. The Phoenix goes down. 4 remaining here for Free Range Chickens. Relatively healthy with the exception of Raid Boss. I don't think they're going to want to try and end here, but they may look to strip away the left side Phoenix as well, using the advantage that they've garnered.
Yeah, fire waves.
They do have fire waves, but with 3 players remaining here and Raid Boss being low, I don't like it. Doesn't mean they won't do it, it just means I don't like it.
Yeah, it looks like Raid Boss, after getting clonked in the head by the Titan, might be seeing your point there as they're deciding over the left Phoenix instead. But that, yeah, again, that kind of goes to show my point of the Vulcan ult goes sideways, doesn't actually get the kill. Free Range Chickens, their mortal enemy. The structures on the team of Asgard Okami, it's continuing to be the most deadly killer for Free Range Chickens here, but yeah, that Vulcan, the Earthshaker, doesn't hit anybody, and then they just lose that fight very heavy-handedly immediately after that. So you just need to be able to make some impacts with these Vulcan abilities. And on the other hand, Giraffe Anatomies had a free game. He's been able to free cast on whoever he wants, and not even cast, but free auto, as we saw him just walk over from left to right side, not even using his Sonic Boom over there, just walk straight over to the right side to be there for that fight before Bats Kid is even in the neighborhood. So now we see a 1v1 going on between On Her and Mercury, and On Her gets the turnaround. Really good jump up, down, knocks him up, puts him into the wall. On Her is the only person I think that can contest the Mercury right now in pure crit damage numbers alone.
That must feel really good if you're Gilly. And now using that the death timer advantage, I think Asgard Okami's best bet here is to set up for a fire giant. You're not going to get an advantage better than that pretty much anywhere else on the map. You have a player advantage. You have a major objective that's up that you can take. You do need to watch out for those fire waves. But if you're decisive and quick about this, you can take this away and maybe get a kill or two in the middle of the siege before that Mercury comes back. You got to go quick, though. I don't like this indecision. You got to go.
Yeah. I think it was really interesting that they were mounting the defense/attack onto the fire giant there, but they're deciding against it. Fire waves are coming back in. I think that's the start of a good look. It's the start of, like I was saying before, looking outside the Phoenix lines, trying to make some win conditions, trying to fight back in some way. But Giraffe Anatomy also, I think, was really interesting. He bought a 3K pot, but not the power pot. He bought the defense pot, giving him a little bit of extra ability to stay in these fights. So he's not looking to lose the 1v1 again. He knows he has enough damage. He knows he has enough power. Right now, he just needs to stay alive a little bit longer, and that defense pot's really going to be helping him out alongside of the Protector of the Jungle they picked up, that effect being amplified by the passive of Protector of the Jungle.
Oh, man. You can see that poor Awelish just now finishing off her 4th item, not including the starter, but I mean, that shows you that gives you an idea of how hard this Awelish has been just kind of removed from the game. Almost getting the steal away there, but free range chickens will walk away, and that's an EFG. So that's even scarier. This is going to have to be one heck of a defense. We've seen that they can do it. Oh, but not if you lose somebody in the middle of the jungle like that. Whoa, no! Collapsed on after the attempted steal. They needed to run away a lot faster than that, and now with 2 players down and EFG on their side, I think this might be all but over here for Asgard Okami. They've got a couple players who are backing, trying desperately to keep the fire waves off of the Titan.
And Oni waves are coming in now, too.
Yeah, they're Oni waves, the crit damage that comes out from Giraffe Anatomy, all 5 players being up with EFG on their side. I think if they just burn it down, they can ignore the players from Asgard Okami and just finish the game right here, right now. They won't. They'll toy with their food and take a few kills first, but that doesn't even matter. They'll get the 3rd one right there onto the Xingqian. He'll barely survive, actually, and the Titan goes down. And in 2 games, Free Range Chickens are the victors of this set in a 2-0 over Asgard Okami.
Yeah, I mean, again, this was a very, very heavily favoring Free Range Chickens throughout the entire match, except for those early games. And if you're Asgard Okami, you will take this match and you watch through it. You don't look at it as go, okay, this is wash, no point in watching it. This is definitely a game to watch and break down, because a lot of what gave Free Range Chickens their leads were just the ability to put pressure on the solo side of the map and keep the jungler out of the game. This is definitely a really good game to go over and look at, okay, how do we counterplay immense pressure on one side of the map? How do we look to push our advantage elsewhere? And what do we do if we have a solo laner who's still able to fight into the enemy solo laner even while having so much pressure put down on it? You need to be able to either helping him out and maybe make him make more impact across the map, or just focus on the other side, on the duo side of the map, and making impact on that side to even out that aggression. But overall, I think it's a really good learning matchup for Asgard Okami.
Very well played from both teams there. Lots to learn. Lots of plays that I think both teams could clean up their play. But that's enough from here on the casting booth. You want to hear from the desk. So we're going to throw it back to them as they break this one down for us.
Oh, Dino's still muted. Anyways, that was a great game too. I'm sure is what Dinosaur was getting ready to say there. But yeah, solid performance coming out from Free Range Chickens. Overall, still need to work on their grouping, but they were able to get away with it again this game with Giraffe Anatomy on the Mercury, able to make several great rotations and kind of just pressure the map pretty much anywhere he wanted to. He's still muted.
I'm just messing with you.
Okay.
No, I'm unmuted this time. Fortunately, yeah, I think that was much of the same coming out from Free Range Chickens. Taking advantage of a little bit of chaos that they created from the pressure that they were able to establish early on in the game. We saw that, Okami really took away Raid Boss's signature Geb pick, and he didn't look much worse on the Ares pick.
Right.
And I think that, it was overall a chaotic mess, maybe by design even. I think that you look at those picks and bans, and certainly one team's Free Range Chickens team certainly favors the chaos right? And we talked about how
Yeah.
it looked like, Asgard Okami was trying to set up this team comp where they would maybe set somebody up for the Vulcan or the Wheelish, and that just like really never happened at all. And instead, it was almost the opposite, where we were seeing free range chickens like sending the Merc. He'd spin around, toss somebody back, and next thing you know, their health bar completely dissipated from from a couple of Giannis abilities or something.
Yep. Yeah, Bats Kid, this game really never got a chance to kind of get off the ground and get up and running. Kind of just put behind pretty much straight from the get-go. Ending up at, I believe, 1-7. It was a slash line there for the Wheelish. But that's kind of the trouble of drafting a comp specifically around a single pick. If that single pick doesn't really, come through the greatest, then you're kind of just left kind of behind the 8 ball and not able to really push any kind of objective or thing that you want to do on the map. I will say, though, we did have some great performances there from Sir Embers on that Vulcan. The really great Phoenix defense on the left-hand side, where he essentially 3/4 healthed the Artemis with just one ultimate, and also caught the Giannis in that as well. I think both of them probably had, I believe they both had Aegis up at the time, and just weren't able to react quick enough to press that button to immune all that damage, which would have been a huge swing and maybe would have ended the game a little bit sooner there. But they still came away with the middle Phoenix going back down. That Giraffe Anatomy was able to split push and make sure that stayed down, so the Titan stayed from healing.
Yeah, I think there were moments when you thought, hey, maybe this is Asgard Okami's chance to claw their way back, but it seemed like as soon as that Ember, no pun, or pun intended, I guess, started to sort of flame up, their opponents' free range chickens were quickly there to put out the fire. So well played, I think, by the free range chickens, and I think there are some takeaways though if you're Asgard Okami moving forward.
For sure.
So yeah. I think that's going to do it for this broadcast. We do have another game, though, coming right up after this one. Some collegiate Smite action for you guys. So stick around for that.
Yep, going to be exciting.